The silver ship appeared in Earth's sky on a Tuesday morning. It was massive, bigger than any building humans had ever built. The ship hung above the Pacific Ocean like a metal moon, casting shadows on the waves below. Captain Hyunwoo Kim stood on the bridge of the space station Sol 1, watching the alien vessel through the wide windows. He had been a soldier for 20 years, but nothing had prepared him for this moment. First contact with aliens was finally happening. "Sir, they're sending a message," said Lieutenant Jamin at the communications desk. "Put it through," Hyunwoo replied, his voice steady despite the racing of his heart. The main screen flickered, and suddenly, they were looking at something that definitely was not human. The creature had blue-green skin that seemed wet, like a fish. Its eyes were large and black, positioned on the sides of its head. When it spoke, its mouth barely moved, but the words came through clearly in perfect English. "Greetings, primitive beings of the third planet. I am Ambassador Vextal of the Galactic Hegemony. We have come to offer you a great honor." Dr. Yoonji Park, Earth's top expert on possible alien life, stepped forward. She had spent years imagining this moment, but the reality felt surreal. "We welcome you to our solar system, Ambassador. I am Dr. Park, speaking for the people of Earth." The alien's expression was hard to read, but something about its posture suggested it found humans amusing. "How quaint. You speak as if you have a choice in what follows. Very well, I shall explain your situation." Admiral Bo-Ram Lee, the highest-ranking military officer present, felt her muscles tense. She had fought in 3 wars and knew the tone of someone delivering an ultimatum. "Your species has recently achieved faster-than-light travel," Vextal continued. "This brings you to our attention. The Galactic Hegemony has ruled this region of space for over 3,000 of your years. We maintain order among 10,000 star systems." The ambassador paused, letting the numbers sink in. 10,000 star systems. The humans exchanged glances. Earth barely controlled 1 system, and they were proud of that achievement. "We offer you the status of protected tributary world," Vextal said. "This is a generous offer that many species would kill for. You will surrender all military vessels and weapons to hegemony forces. You will provide 30% of your planet's resources annually. In return, we will protect you from hostile aliens and share some of our lesser technologies." Dr. Yoon-ji felt her stomach drop. This wasn't first contact. This was conquest, wrapped in pretty words. "And if we refuse?" The alien's laugh was like water bubbling up from a drain. "Refuse?" Species that refuse protection are declared threats to galactic stability. Threats are eliminated, but surely you are not that foolish. Captain Hyunwoo stepped forward. His grandfather had fought against invaders who came with similar offers of protection. The words were different, but the meaning was the same. "We need time to discuss this with our leaders." "Of course, you have 72 of your hours. My ship will wait." The screen went black. For a moment, nobody spoke. Then Admiral Bo-Ram broke the silence. "Well, that went about as badly as possible. The next 3 days were chaos on Earth. Every government, every military leader, every scientist had an opinion. The news channels ran constant updates. People gathered in the streets, some demanding surrender, others calling for resistance. A secure bunker beneath Seoul, the world's leaders met in emergency session. President Tae-Yang Choi sat at the head of the table, looking older than his 55 years. The weight of humanity's future rested on the decisions made in this room. "The numbers are overwhelming," said General Woo Jin from the military analysis team. "They claim to control 10,000 star systems. We have 1. They've had faster-than-light travel for thousands of years. We've had it for 3. But we don't know if they're telling the truth," argued Dr. Hae-jin from the xenobiology team. "This could be a bluff. Maybe they're not as powerful as they claim." Captain Hyunwoo had been quiet during most of the debate, but now he stood up. "It doesn't matter if they're lying about their strength. What matters is what kind of people we want to be." The room fell silent. Everyone looked at the soldier who had spent more time talking to the alien than anyone else. My grandfather fought against invaders who promised protection in exchange for surrender. He taught me that freedom isn't something you can trade away and get back later. Once you kneel, you stay on your knees. President Tai Yang nodded slowly. But if we refuse, they might destroy our entire planet. Every human being could die. Maybe, Hyunwoo said. But if we surrender, humanity dies anyway, just more slowly. Admiral Boram looked around the table. We're not completely helpless. Our new ships are fast, our weapons are different from what they expect. We might surprise them, or we might all be dead in a week, countered Dr. Minho from the Science Council. The debate continued for hours. Some argued for surrender, pointing out that 30% of Earth's resources was better than 100% of nothing. Others demanded resistance, saying that freedom was worth any price. Finally, President Tai Yang called for quiet. We'll vote. All in favor of accepting the hegemony's offer? 5 hands went up. All in favor of refusal? 12 hands rose. The decision was made. On the 3rd day, Captain Hyunwoo returned to the space station. The alien ship still hung in Earth's sky, waiting. He opened a communication channel to Ambassador Vextal. The blue-green face appeared, on screen looking confident and slightly bored. Ah, the primitive soldier returns. I assume you bring word of your species' surrender? No, Hyunwoo said simply. Earth respectfully declines your offer. Furthermore, by authority of the United Terran Republic, the galactic hegemony is hereby prohibited from entering Terran space without explicit permission. For several seconds, Vextal just stared. Then the alien began making the bubbling sound that passed for laughter. Other voices could be heard in the background, also laughing. You prohibit us? Vextal finally managed to say between laughs. You prohibit the galactic hegemony? Oh, this is precious. In 3,000 years, no species has ever been so entertainingly stupid. Earth's position is final, Hyunwoo replied calmly. Very well, little humans. You have chosen destruction over protection. We shall return with a proper war fleet to claim your system and eliminate your species. Enjoy your last few weeks of existence. The communication ended. The alien ship began moving away from Earth, heading toward the outer edge of the solar system. Dr. Yoonji watched it go. What have we done? Admiral Boram put a hand on her shoulder. What we had to do. Now we prepare for war. Captain Hyunwoo looked out at the stars, knowing that somewhere among them, a war fleet was being assembled. Earth had just declared independence from an empire that ruled 10,000 worlds. They might be making the biggest mistake in human history, or they might be about to show the galaxy what humans were really made of. 3 weeks after the alien ship left, Earth's early warning systems began screaming. Lieutenant Jae-hyun Song was on duty at the Outer System Monitoring Station when the alert started flooding his screen. At first, he thought it was a malfunction. The numbers were impossible. Commander Han, you need to see this, he called to his superior. Commander Soo-jin. Han hurried over to Jae-hyun's station. She looked at the readings and felt her blood turn cold. 200 ships? That's what the sensors are showing, ma'am. They just dropped out of faster-than-light travel at the edge of our system. Soo-jin immediately opened a communication channel to Earth Command. This is Outer Station 7. We have massive incoming. I repeat, massive incoming. 200 alien vessels have entered our system. The response came back quickly from Admiral Boram Lee herself. Confirmed, Commander. We see them too. All defense stations to battle readiness. This is not a drill. Across the solar system, humanity's small defense fleet scrambled to respond. Earth had only 37 ships capable of space combat. Against 200 alien vessels, it seemed hopeless. But humans had never been good at accepting hopeless situations. Captain Young-ho Kang stood on the bridge of the UTS Incheon, humanity's largest warship. It was barely 3 months old, rushed into service when the alien threat became real. The ship hummed with nervous energy as the crew prepared for humanity's first space battle. Sir, we're receiving a message from the alien fleet, reported Communications Officer Min Seo. Put it on screen. The face that appeared was different from Ambassador Vextal. This alien had darker skin and scars across its face. When it spoke, its voice carried the weight of authority and the certainty of someone who had never lost a battle. I am Fleet Admiral Kethmore of the Galactic Hegemony. I have destroyed 17 worlds that defied our rule. You primitive humans will surrender immediately, or you will join them in extinction. Captain Young-Ho looked around his bridge at the young faces of his crew. Most of them had never been in combat. They were scared, but they were ready. This is Captain Kang of the Terran Defense Fleet. Earth's answer remains the same. Leave our system immediately. The alien admiral's expression darkened. So be it. All ships, commence planetary bombardment. Make an example of this world. The communication ended, and space erupted in violence. The alien ships moved forward in perfect formation, their weapons charging with deadly light. But they had made one critical mistake. They expected humans to fight like every other species in the galaxy. Dr. Dong-Min Yu sat in the command center deep beneath Seoul, watching the battle through multiple screens. For months, he had worked day and night on humanity's secret weapons. Now it was time to see if human engineering could match alien technology. Orbital defense platforms are online, he reported to the war room. All railgun batteries charged and ready. The first surprise came when the aliens moved within range of Earth's moon. Hidden installations that looked like mining equipment suddenly revealed their true nature. Massive railguns emerged from concealed positions and began firing. The aliens had energy shields that could stop laser weapons and plasma bolts, but they had never encountered kinetic projectiles moving at 30% of light speed. The first salvo of railgun rounds punched through 3 alien ships like they were made of paper. Impossible! Fleet Admiral Kethmore roared as his forward ships exploded. What kind of primitive weapons are these? But the humans were just getting started. Lieutenant Jae-hyun launched from his fighter bay in the experimental craft Seoul's Fury. Unlike traditional fighters that needed pilots to control every movement, his ship was assisted by an artificial intelligence that learned and adapted in real time. The AI studied the alien ship's movement patterns, weapon signatures, and defensive capabilities. Within minutes, it was predicting their actions and finding weaknesses in their formations. Fox Squadron, this is Seoul's Fury, Jae-hyun called over the radio. I'm uploading tactical data to your systems. These aliens fight in rigid patterns. If we break their formation, they get confused. The human fighters swarmed around the alien fleet like angry wasps. They were smaller and faster than the alien ships, and they fought in ways the hegemony had never seen. Instead of formation flying, they used chaotic attack patterns that seemed random, but were actually carefully coordinated. Captain Young-Ho brought the Incheon into the battle with guns blazing. The ship's quantum entanglement communication system allowed it to coordinate perfectly with every other human vessel, no matter how far apart they were. All ships, execute Maneuver 7, he ordered. Across the solar system, 37 human ships moved as one mind. They appeared from different directions simultaneously, concentrating their fire on single alien vessels before scattering again. The alien admiral had never seen anything like it. His ships were more powerful individually, but the humans fought like they shared a single brain. Every move was coordinated, every attack precisely timed. How are they communicating so quickly? He demanded from his science officer. There's no transmission lag. It's like they're talking faster than light itself. The battle raged for hours. The aliens had superior numbers and firepower, but the humans had advantages the hegemony couldn't understand. Their weapons were different, their tactics were unpredictable, and their coordination was perfect. Commander Soo-jin watched from her orbital platform as human fighters danced between alien battleships, striking at weak points the enemy didn't know they had. The AI systems learned more with every engagement, becoming deadlier by the minute. Sir, we're losing too many ships, one of Kethmore's officers reported. These humans fight like demons. Our weapons barely damage them, but their projectile weapons cut through our shields, the alien admiral snarled. He had conquered worlds across the galaxy, but these primitive humans were making him look like a fool. All ships, full assault on their planet. Ignore their fighters and target their cities directly. The alien fleet changed course, heading straight for Earth. But they had forgotten about humanity's other surprises. Dr. Dong Min activated the gravity manipulation systems hidden in the asteroid belt. Suddenly, chunks of rock and metal began accelerating toward the alien fleet at incredible speeds. "What sorcery is this?" Kethmore shouted as asteroids the size of buildings slammed into his ships. The humans had turned their entire solar system into a weapon. Every piece of space debris, every hidden installation, every seemingly harmless satellite was part of a coordinated defense network. The battle continued for 6 days. The aliens kept expecting the humans to break, to surrender, to behave like every other species they had conquered. But humans were stubborn in ways the galaxy had never seen. On the 6th day, Fleet Admiral Kethmore looked at his tactical display and couldn't believe what he saw. He had started with 200 ships. Now he had fewer than 80 still capable of fighting. "Sir, recommend immediate retreat," his tactical officer said quietly. "We're losing this battle." For the first time in his military career, Kethmore gave the order to withdraw. The surviving alien ships turned and fled toward the edge of the EAM solar system, leaving behind the wreckage of over half their fleet. Lieutenant Jae-hyun floated in his damaged fighter, watching the alien ships disappear into faster-than-light travel. Around him, space was filled with debris from both sides. Humanity had won, but the cost had been high. "All units, this is Admiral Lee," came the transmission from Earth. "Stand down from battle stations. The enemy is in retreat." Captain Young-ho slumped in his command chair, exhausted. His ship had taken heavy damage and many good people had died. But they had done something no species had accomplished in 3,000 years. They had made the galactic hegemony retreat. Commander Soo-jin looked out at the stars, knowing that word of this battle would spread across the galaxy. For the first time in millennia, someone had stood up to the hegemony and won, but she also knew this was just the beginning. The aliens would be back, and next time, they would come prepared for human tactics. Earth had won its first battle for independence. Now they had to prepare for the war that would follow. News of humanity's victory spread across the galaxy like wildfire. In the crystal cities of Vorthak Prime, the crystalline beings called Vorthan gathered around their communication crystals, hardly believing what they heard. A species had actually defeated a hegemony war fleet. It was impossible, yet the evidence was overwhelming. "They did what we could never do," whispered Curator Velthan to her fellow crystals. "They said no and made it stick." On the forest world of Sylvanos, the plant-like sylvanids swayed in their great councils, their leaves rustling with excitement. For 200 years, they had paid tribute to the hegemony, watching their children taken as slaves and their resources drained away. "If these humans can resist," buzzed Elder Thornweave, "perhaps we can too." Ambassador Soo-young Lim sat in her new office at the Terran Diplomatic Center, reading report after report of alien contacts. In the 3 months since the battle, Earth had received over 60 different species asking for secret meetings. "Ma'am, we have another one," said her assistant, holding up a communication device. "The Zephyrians want to send an envoy." Soo-young rubbed her tired eyes. Before the alien war, she had been a simple translator for the United Nations. Now she was Earth's first interstellar ambassador, trying to navigate politics she barely understood. "Schedule them for next week," she said, "and see if Dr. Moon can prepare another xenopsychology briefing." Dr. Hyojin Moon was working 18-hour days, trying to understand the dozens of alien species that were suddenly interested in Earth. Each one had different biology, different cultures, and different reasons for hating the hegemony. "The pattern is clear," she explained to the Earth Council during their weekly meeting. "Every species we've met has the same story. The hegemony arrives, offers protection, and then slowly takes over. Those who resist get destroyed. Those who submit become slaves." General In-ho Choi, the architect of Earth's defense strategy, leaned forward. "Until now." "Exactly. We're the first species to fight them and win. That's why everyone wants to talk to us." President Tae-yang looked around the council table. The same people who had voted to resist the hegemony now faced an even bigger decision. The question is, what do we do about it? Engineer Woojin Bayek had been working around the clock, expanding Earth's fleet based on lessons learned from the first battle. We're building as fast as we can, but we're still just one world. If the hegemony comes back with 1,000 ships instead of 200, we're in trouble. That's why we need allies, said Admiral Boram, who had been promoted to head of Terran. Defense. The enemy of my enemy is my friend, as the old saying goes. The first formal alliance came from an unexpected source. The Zephyrians were bird-like creatures with wings that spanned 3 meters and hollow bones that made them fragile but incredibly fast. Their homeworld had been conquered 50 years ago, but many of their people had escaped to hidden colonies. Captain Kian-Woo Park met with their representative on a neutral moon at the edge of human space. The Zephyrian was called Windsinger, and her feathers shimmered with colors that changed based on her emotions. Your species has done something remarkable, Windsinger said, her voice like music. We offer you our knowledge of hegemony tactics and ship designs. In return, we ask only that you remember us when you plan your next moves. What do you mean? Captain Park asked. The hegemony will come again, human. They cannot afford to let your victory stand. If other worlds see that resistance is possible, their empire will crumble. They would rather destroy 1,000 planets than admit weakness. Over the following weeks, more alliances formed. The Vorthon offered their advanced crystal technology. The Sylvanids shared their knowledge of biological weapons that could turn hegemony ships into gardens. Even some former hegemony species began switching sides in secret. But the most important visitor came on a rainy Thursday in Seoul. Ambassador Su Young was reviewing trade agreements when her assistant burst into the office. Ma'am, you need to see this. We have a hegemony ship requesting permission to land. What? Su Young jumped up so fast she knocked over her coffee. Battle station, sound the alarm. Wait, her assistant said. They're broadcasting surrender codes, and they claim to be defectors. An hour later, Su Young found herself face to face with a group of aliens unlike any she had seen before. They were tall and thin with gray skin and large eyes. Their leader introduced himself as Commander Zethka of the Hegemony Intelligence Corps. We bring information, he said in perfect English. The location of Warfleet Omega, Hegemony's largest military force. Dr. Haye Jin, who had joined the meeting, studied the aliens carefully. Why would you betray your own empire? Commander Zethka's expression was hard to read, but his voice carried emotion. Because we have seen what empire does to people. My own world was conquered 300 years ago. We were told that resistance was impossible, that the hegemony was eternal. You have proven that lie. The information the defectors brought was terrifying. Warfleet Omega consisted of over 2,000 ships, led by Supreme War Leader Drathvin, the most feared commander in hegemony space. They were already on their way to Earth. How long do we have? Asked General Inho. 6 months, maybe 7. Zethka replied. But there is more. The Hegemony Council has declared this a war of extermination. They will not stop with your world. They plan to destroy every species that has contacted you. The room fell silent. Earth's victory had painted a target not just on humanity, but on dozens of innocent worlds. Engineer Wu Jin spoke first. We need a bigger fleet. Much bigger. And we need it fast, added Admiral Boram. 6 months isn't enough time to build what we need with just Earth's resources. Ambassador Su Young looked around the room, seeing the same determination that had led them to resist in the first place. Then we don't use just Earth's resources, we build a coalition fleet. The next few months were a whirlwind of activity. Human engineers worked alongside Vorthon crystal shapers and Sylvanid bioarchitects. Zephyrian pilots trained with human fighter aces, sharing knowledge of aerial combat across species lines. Captain Hyunwoo Kim, now promoted to admiral, oversaw the construction of humanity's first true battle fleet. The ships were unlike anything the galaxy had ever seen, combining human innovation with alien technology. Look at this, Engineer Wu Jin said, showing off the latest design. Vorthon crystal armor that grows stronger under fire. Sylvanid biological computers that can heal battle damage. Zephyrian speed modifications that let our ships dance around enemy fire. But the most important development came from an unexpected source. Dr. Dong Min had been working with the defector scientists studying hegemony technology. What he discovered changed everything. Their faster-than-light drives have a critical weakness, he explained to the War Council. If you destabilize the quantum field around a ship, it can't jump to light speed. They get trapped wherever they are. Admiral Kim smiled grimly. Like fish in a barrel. Exactly. But the field generator has to be huge. We're talking about something the size of a moon. General Inho studied the technical specifications. Can we build it? With help from our allies, yes. But we'll only get one chance. If the hegemony realizes what we're doing, they'll change course. As Warfleet Omega approached the solar system, Earth and its allies put their desperate plan into action. Hidden construction sites throughout the outer system worked frantically to complete the quantum disruption array. Ambassador Su Young received reports from across the galaxy. The hegemony was mobilizing massive forces, preparing to make an example of Earth and its allies. Entire worlds were being evacuated as their populations fled to hidden colonies. They're scared, Dr. Hyojin observed. For the first time in 3,000 years, the hegemony is afraid. Good, replied Admiral Kim. Fear makes people make mistakes. The final month before the battle, Earth received one last visitor. Ambassador Fextel, the same alien who had delivered the original ultimatum, appeared on screens across the planet. Foolish humans, he said, his wet voice carrying across space. You have doomed not only yourselves, but dozens of innocent worlds. Supreme War Leader Drathvin comes with the largest fleet ever assembled. Surrender now, and we will grant you a quick death. President Taeyang responded personally. Earth's answer has not changed. We stand with our allies, and we will not bow to tyranny. The alien ambassador's laugh was bitter. Then you will all burn together. The communication ended, and Earth prepared for the battle that would decide the fate of the galaxy. Warfleet Omega arrived on a cold morning in December. 2,000 ships dropped out of faster-than-light travel at the edge of Earth's solar system, their hulls gleaming like deadly stars against the black of space. Fleet Admiral Hyunwoo Kim stood on the bridge of the new flagship UTS Seoul, watching the enemy fleet through enhanced sensors. The ship was 3 times larger than anything humanity had built before. Its hull a fusion of human engineering and alien technology donated by Earth's new allies. Sir, incoming transmission, reported Communications Officer Jiwon. Put it through. The face that appeared on the main screen was terrifying even by alien standards. Supreme War Leader Drathvin looked like something from humanity's worst nightmares. His skin was black and covered in scars. His eyes burned red, and when he spoke, rows of sharp teeth were visible. I am Drathvin, destroyer of worlds, bringer of final night. I have burned 50 planets to ash and scattered their peoples to the void. You will surrender immediately and prepare for execution, or I will make your deaths last for centuries. Admiral Kim looked around his bridge at the faces of his crew. Humans, Zephyrians, Vorthans, and Sylvanids all working together. 6 months ago, most of these species had never even met. Now they were family. This is Fleet Admiral Kim of the Terran Liberation Coalition. You are in violation of sovereign space. Leave immediately or face the consequences. Drathvin's laugh was like grinding metal. Coalition? You mean these handful of cowards hiding behind human skirts? I will enjoy watching them burn. The transmission ended and space erupted into the largest battle in galactic history. Warfleet Omega moved forward in perfect formation, a wall of destruction 2,000 ships wide. Their weapons charged with energy that could melt continents. Their shields glowed with power that could stop any known weapon. But they had never faced weapons like the ones waiting for them. Captain Ji-Won Park commanded the stealth destroyer, Invisible Wind, hidden among the asteroids of the outer system. Her ship was a miracle of coalition engineering, its hull made from Vorthon crystal that bent light around it, its engines powered by Sylvanid biological reactors that produced no heat signature. All stealth units. This is Invisible Wind. Target. The command ships. Make every shot count. 30 invisible ships opened fire simultaneously. Their weapons were pure human innovation, railguns that fired projectiles at significant percentages of light speed. The hegemony's energy shields, designed to stop plasma and lasers, were useless against solid matter moving so fast. 5 hegemony command ships exploded, before Drathvin even realized he was under attack. "Impossible," the alien commander roared. "Where did those shots come from?" His science officer was frantically scanning space. "I don't know, sir. There's nothing on sensors. It's like the shots came from empty space." But Drathvin was a veteran of 100 battles. He adapted quickly. All ships, random evasion patterns, full sensor sweep of all debris fields. The battle escalated rapidly. Hegemony ships began firing at asteroids, trying to flush out hidden enemies. But for every stealth ship they found, 2 more appeared from different directions. Commander Sujin Han coordinated the defense from her position on the hidden command station built inside Earth's moon. Banks of quantum computers processed battlefield data faster than any organic mind could follow, predicting enemy movements and coordinating coalition forces. "Wave 2, execute," she ordered. Suddenly, the space around Warfleet Omega filled with fighters. But these weren't ordinary fighters. Each one was controlled by an artificial intelligence that learned and adapted in real time, sharing knowledge instantly with every other AI in the fleet. The Zephyrian pilots who worked alongside the AIs brought something the galaxy had never seen: 3-dimensional thinking adapted from creatures who had evolved to fly. They dove and climbed and rolled through space in patterns that confused hegemony targeting systems. Lieutenant Jae-Hyun Song, now a squadron commander, led his mixed unit of human and Zephyrian pilots against a hegemony battle group. His ship, Soul's Thunder, had been upgraded with the best technology the Coalition could provide. "Break formation and go hunting," he ordered. "Remember, these aliens think in straight lines. Show them what chaos looks like." The Coalition fighters swarmed through the hegemony fleet like a cloud of angry insects. They struck from above and below, from directions that made no sense to enemies who thought of space as having an up and down. Dr. Kyung-Soo Lee watched the battle from his laboratory deep beneath Seoul, his hands dancing over controls that most humans couldn't even understand. For months he had worked on humanity's most secret weapon, a technology so dangerous that even Earth's allies didn't know it existed. "Field generators are online," he reported to Admiral Kim. "We can activate the quantum disruption field at any time." "Not yet," the Admiral replied. "Let them get closer. We need to trap as many as possible." The battle raged for days. Drathvin threw wave after wave of ships at the Coalition forces, expecting them to break like every other enemy he had faced. But the Coalition fought with a coordination that seemed impossible. Every ship was connected through quantum entanglement communication. Every pilot shared knowledge instantly with every other pilot. When a hegemony ship found a successful tactic against one Coalition vessel, every other friendly ship immediately knew how to counter it. "Sir, we've lost over 300 ships," Drathvin's tactical officer reported. "The enemy has lost maybe 50. The Supreme War Leader snarled. He had never faced an enemy like this. They fought like they shared one mind, adapting instantly to every move he made. "All ships prepare for final assault on the enemy planet. Ignore their fleet and burn their world to cinder." The massive hegemony fleet turned toward Earth, engines roaring as they accelerated to attack speed. This was exactly what Admiral Kim had been waiting for. "Dr. Lee, activate the field. All ships execute Plan Omega." Hidden throughout the solar system, massive generators that had been disguised as mining equipment suddenly revealed their true purpose. A quantum disruption field expanded outward from Earth like an invisible wave, washing over the charging hegemony fleet. Suddenly, every hegemony ship found itself unable to jump to faster than light speed. They were trapped in Earth's solar system with no way to escape. "What sorcery is this?" Drathvin demanded, as his ship's faster-than-light drives failed one by one. Commander Zethka, the hegemony defector, answered from his position on the Coalition command ship. "Human sorcery, War Leader. They have turned your greatest strength into your greatest weakness." Now the real battle began. The hegemony fleet was larger and more powerful, but they were trapped in a space the Coalition had spent months preparing. Every asteroid had been positioned as a weapon. Every piece of debris had been turned into a guided missile. Captain Young Ho Kang brought the upgraded UTS Incheon into close combat with a hegemony dreadnought. The enemy ship was twice as large and carried weapons that could destroy planets. But it had never faced anything like human stubbornness. "All batteries, continuous fire," he ordered. "Don't let them breathe." The coalition ships fought with desperate fury. They knew that if they lost this battle, not only would Earth be destroyed, but every world that had joined their cause would be hunted down and exterminated. Commander Hai-Rin Cho coordinated Earth's final line of defense, orbital platforms that surrounded the planet like a metal shell. If any hegemony ships broke through the main battle, they would face weapons that could crack moons. The fighting continued for weeks. Ships burned and died on both sides. Heroes emerged from species that had been slaves for centuries, fighting for freedom they had never imagined possible. Slowly, impossibly, the coalition began to win. The hegemony fleet, trapped and unable to escape, found itself being worn down by enemies who refused to give up. On the 28th day of the battle, Supreme War Leader Drathvin made his final desperate move. He ordered his remaining ships to ram Earth itself, hoping to destroy the planet even if it meant his own death. But Admiral Kim had one last surprise. The quantum field that trapped the hegemony ships could be focused and weaponized. Dr. Lee activated the final protocol, turning the invisible field into a weapon that tore apart the fabric of space itself. The center of the hegemony fleet simply ceased to exist, erased from reality by forces beyond normal understanding. Drathvin's ship, damaged and powerless, drifted among the wreckage of his once mighty fleet. The most feared commander in the galaxy sent one last transmission to Earth. "You have won this battle, humans, but the hegemony is vast. Others will come." Admiral Kim's response was broadcast across the galaxy. "Let them come. We'll be waiting." The siege of Sol was over. Of the 2,000 ships that had arrived to destroy Earth, fewer than 50 survived to limp away into deep space. The galaxy would never be the same. 6 months after the siege of Sol ended, President Byung-ho Kim stood before the largest gathering of alien species in galactic history. The floating conference station Unity had been built in neutral space, designed by engineers from 47 different worlds working together. Byung-ho was Admiral Hyun-woo Kim's younger brother, elected as the first president of the Terran Liberation Coalition, when the war hero chose to remain in the military rather than enter politics. Where his brother was a warrior, Byung-ho was a diplomat, but they shared the same stubborn refusal to accept defeat. "Representatives of the free worlds," he began, his words being translated into dozens of languages and communication methods, "we gather today to sign the Galactic Charter of Rights, the foundation of a new age in our galaxy." The audience was unlike anything the galaxy had ever seen. Crystalline Vorthan sat next to feathered Zephyrians. Plant-like Sylvanids shared space with gaseous beings from the outer rim. Former hegemony slaves sat beside species that had hidden in the dark spaces between stars for centuries. Ambassador Min Jun-oh, Earth's chief negotiator, had spent months working out the details of the charter. The basic principles were simple, but revolutionary for a galaxy that had known only tyranny for 3,000 years. Every world had the right to choose its own government. Every species had the right to their own culture and beliefs. No empire could demand tribute or slaves from another world. Most importantly, any world that asked for help against oppression would receive it from the coalition. The hegemony ruled through fear, Min Jun had explained during the negotiations. "We will lead through hope." The signing ceremony was interrupted by urgent news. Admiral Se-Ram-yoon, commander of humanity's deep space exploration fleet, appeared on the main screen with a report that stunned everyone present. "Mr. President, we've made contact with something beyond our borders. The hegemony wasn't the only power in this galaxy. There are others, and they're much older. The discovery had been made by the exploration ship Soul's Journey, humanity's most advanced vessel. While mapping the outer edges of known space, they had encountered structures that defied explanation, ancient and vast beyond imagination. The beings call themselves the Eternals, Admiral Yoon continued. They claim to have been watching our galaxy for millions of years, waiting for a species capable of bringing true change. The news sent shock waves through the conference. If there were powers beyond the hegemony, what did that mean for the fragile coalition? Dr. Yejin Kang, now Earth's top xenobiologist, had been studying the ancient records recovered from hegemony archives. What she discovered painted a picture of galactic history that no one had imagined. The hegemony was never the original power, she explained to the emergency session. They were just the latest in a series of empires that rose and fell over millions of years. The Eternals have been watching this pattern repeat over and over. The revelation changed everything. The coalition wasn't just fighting one empire. They were trying to break a cycle that had lasted since the galaxy was young. 3 days later, a ship unlike anything anyone had ever seen appeared at the edge of coalition space. It was beautiful and terrible at the same time, its hull seeming to shift between dimensions. The message it carried was simple. The young ones may approach. We would speak with those who broke the pattern. Admiral Hyun-Woo Kim volunteered to lead the diplomatic mission, taking a small fleet to the designated meeting point. What he found there challenged everything humans thought they knew about the universe. The Eternal who greeted them appeared as a figure of pure light, speaking directly into their minds rather than using sound. Its age was impossible to comprehend, measured not in years but in the rise and fall of entire civilizations. You are the first species in this galaxy to choose growth over dominance, the Eternal said. For 3 million years we have watched empire after empire rise, conquer, stagnate, and fall. The pattern seemed unbreakable. Why didn't you intervene? Admiral Kim asked. Because intervention teaches nothing. True wisdom must be earned, not given. Your species and those who stand with you have earned the right to learn. The Eternal showed them visions of the galaxy's past, civilizations beyond counting that had risen to power only to become the very tyranny they had once fought against. The hegemony itself had begun as a liberation movement, thousands of years ago, before power corrupted their noble intentions. How do we avoid that fate? Kim asked. By remembering that freedom is not a destination, but a journey. The moment you believe you have achieved perfect freedom is the moment you begin to lose it. The Eternal offered the coalition something unprecedented. Knowledge, not weapons or technology, but understanding of the deeper forces that shaped galactic civilization. Back on Earth, the implications of contact with the Eternal sparked intense debate. Some argued that humanity should accept their guidance. Others worried about becoming dependent on beings whose motives they couldn't fully understand. President Byung-ho called for a vote of all coalition worlds. The decision would affect every species that had joined their cause. We stand at a crossroads, he told the assembled delegates. We can accept the easy path of guidance from beings wiser than ourselves, or we can continue the hard path of making our own mistakes and learning from them. The vote was close, but the decision was clear. The coalition would accept the Eternals' knowledge but not their governance. They would learn but remain free to choose their own path. The years that followed became known as the Great Expansion. Coalition fleets spread throughout the galaxy, not as conquerors, but as liberators. World after world threw off the chains of tyranny, inspired by the example of Earth and its allies. The hegemony, reduced to a fraction of its former size, eventually requested peace negotiations. The talks were held on a neutral world, with former enemies sitting across from each other as equals. Ambassador Su Young Lim, now in her 60s, led the coalition negotiating team. Across from her sat Ambassador Vextal, the same alien who had first offered Earth protection years ago. Your species has changed the galaxy, Vextal admitted. Perhaps we were wrong to assume that might makes right. The Treaty of Titan established the new order. The hegemony would retain control of their core worlds but could no longer expand. Any world that wished to leave their empire would be free to do so. Most importantly, both sides agreed to the principle that had started the whole conflict. Every species had the right to determine its own fate. But the galaxy's transformation was far from complete. Admiral Seiram Yoon's exploration fleets pushed beyond the galactic rim, discovering wonders and dangers that challenged everything they thought they knew about the universe. There are other galaxies out there, she reported to the Coalition Council. Some friendly, some hostile, some so alien we can barely comprehend them. Earth had become more than just another world. It was the symbol of the idea that tyranny could be defeated, that freedom was worth any price, that even the smallest voice could change the course of history. Young beings from across the galaxy came to study at Earth's universities, learning not just human technology, but human philosophy. The idea that every individual had value, that diversity was strength rather than weakness, that cooperation was more powerful than domination. Dr. Ye-Jin established the Institute for Galactic Studies, where scholars from hundreds of worlds worked together to understand their shared history and plan their common future. The work was difficult, often frustrating, but it was their work, done by their choice. On the 10th anniversary of first contact with the hegemony, Earth held a celebration that was broadcast to every coalition world. President Byung-ho, his hair now gray with the stress of leadership, stood before a crowd that included beings from across known space. 10 years ago, an alien ship appeared in our sky with an ultimatum, he said. They told us that resistance was impossible, that we had no choice but to submit. Today we celebrate not just our refusal to submit, but the galaxy-wide movement that refusal inspired. The celebration was interrupted by an urgent message from the deep space monitoring stations. Something was approaching from intergalactic space, something vast and powerful and utterly alien. Admiral Hyunwoo Kim, now an old soldier with scars from 100 battles, smiled grimly as he read the reports. The galaxy had enjoyed 10 years of peace, but peace was never permanent. There were always new challenges, new threats, new opportunities to prove that freedom was worth defending. Well, he said to his staff, looks like we're about to find out what lies beyond our galaxy. The coalition fleets began to mobilize, not in fear but in anticipation. They had learned that the universe was vast and dangerous, full of beings who believed that might made right. But they had also learned that even the mightiest empire could be defeated by those who refused to accept defeat. Earth had declared that tyranny was prohibited in Terran space. That declaration had grown to encompass dozens of worlds, then hundreds, then thousands. Now, as new threats emerged from the darkness between galaxies, the principle would be tested on a scale beyond imagination. But the beings who had once been slaves, who had once cowered before the might of empire, now stood ready to defend their freedom. They had learned the most dangerous lesson in the universe.